Part 8. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 71. After secretly taking a breath, Wei Suo took out the green emperor gourd from the one-eyed monk and shouted, "Since you don't know how to stay alive, then I can only let you see me the most powerful magic weapon." Wen Daoji was startled, and when he saw the green emperor gourd in Wei Suo's hand, he burst out laughing loudly. "Han Yinjian's emperor's gourd? Do you think I don't know that his thing has been damaged and is useless? You still want to use this thing to fool us? Believe it or not, if you use this thing, you will die ugly." Wei Suo watched the yellow line approaching the Wendao pavilion and the chunky Taoist, and directly injected Xuanhuan into the green emperor gourd in his hand. "Who knows if there are 2 heartworms on top of my head now? Haha, pretend, continue to pretend, I'm going to see, how do you make us die so ugly?" The chunky Taoist stopped his hand, and he laughed. Maybe someone else was fat. Elder Heart Eater hadn't eaten fat for a long time, and because of his arrogant smile, Wei Suo obviously saw the looming yellow line moving towards him. "From now on, don't move, no voice." As Wei Suo whispered to Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu, a puff of blue wood gas permeated from the green emperor gourd, wrapping Wei Suo and Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu. Although Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu didn't understand why Wei Suo said so, they immediately followed Wei Suo's words, standing still like wood without moving. "Haha, that's what you said makes us die ugly," the chunky Taoist priest laughed and held his belly. This green emperor gourd couldn't even send out a similar defense. A mass of green wood gas didn't even condense at all. It actually said that they died so ugly. But at this moment, Wei Suo clearly saw that the yellow line, which was close to the top of the chunky Taoist prince, sank down. With a boom sound, the chunky Taoist's smile froze all over his face, and his entire body shuddered suddenly, with a loud voice in his mouth. Boom! At the same time, there was a soft sound on Wendao's head, and his body was obviously stiff. Wei Suo's breath almost stopped, feeling his scalp tingling. Obviously, there are more than 1 Heart Eater elder. What? Wendao suddenly uttered a scream of sorrow. Lifting his hands violently, he saw 2 crimson bracelets flying off his wrists and hitting the air above his head. The worm shuddered out, and there was also a clear flash of blood on the top of his head. In the scream, a white phosphorus animal bone powder spewed out of his hand again. With the fluttering of this white phosphorus animal bone powder, a total of 4 head eaters appeared. Among them, the heart eater that was hit by Wendao's desperate counterattack seemed to be seriously injured. 2 crimson bracelets opened 2 holes in its abdomen, and the bracelet was directly hit into its abdomen. The 2 holes in the upper part and its mouth are all gushing yellow blood. What made Wei Suo and Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu all covered with cold hair was that 2 of them were hanging on the top of the cave not far from the top of their heads. It seemed that they did not feel their traces at the moment, and they were a little confused. At this time, a corpse, already controlled by carrion worms, began to come out. The blood flows along the top of Wendao Pavilion to the face of Wendao Pavilion. Whether it is Wendao screaming at this time or the 4 heads of heartworms, in the eyes of Wei Suo and Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu it is terrible. Seeing Wendao screaming wildly at the moment, I didn't know if he had been sucked by the heart-biting insect when he was just pierced by the heart-biting insect. Not good. At this moment, Wendao suddenly made a movement that made Wei Suo's entire body tense at once. He suddenly raised his hand and issued a wind spell at Wei Suo. "Whoo!" I saw a column of wind rushing across, and suddenly blown away the green wood gas wrapped around Wei Suo and Nangang Yuking and Lu Wushan. Wendao was obviously not sucked into an idiot. This double master of Zhou Tianjing is indeed not comparable to ordinary low-level monks. At this moment, Wei Suo does not know whether he thinks that with Wei Suo, they may still get the 4-headed heartworms, or they are dying. To delay something, anyway, Wei Suo knows that they are also in danger. Sure enough, the wind beam from the Wendeo pavilion almost blew away the green wood gas outside the three people for half of the moment. The two heart-eaters not far from the three people, like the shark smelling the smell, reacted instantly. Come here. Fight. When Wei Suo shouted, he immediately inspired the sun-burning talisman in his hand, and a strong beam of light made both ends of the heartworms rushing towards them burst into blue smoke, and at the same time, the sound of Wei Suo also desperately aimed at one of the heart-biting insects to inspire the Yin Mei blade. Tru Yuan, who had just recovered almost immediately, came to an end again. At the same time, Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu's Luiying flying blades and a pair of black claws also shot out. Nangang Yuking's Lu Dao Luiying flying blade was chopped on another heart-eater, and Lu Wu's pair of black claws also hit the heart-eater on Wei Suo's Yin Mei blade. This heart-eater was obviously not as perverted as the elders of the heart-eater. The Yin Mei blade slashed up, and a large mouth was cut out, and a pair of black claws issued by Lu Wu caught it directly into its belly. I saw the yellow blood spurting from the mouth of this heart-eater, and the sucker legs like octopus claws couldn't anymore, and fell heavily from the air to the ground. It seemed that I couldn't live anymore. In addition, there were 6 wounds on the heart-eater chopped by Nangang Yuking. The wounds were not heavy, but the yellow blood was also flowing out, and even if the effect of the white phosphorus animal bone powder was gone, it should be visible. By the way, do you still have white phosphorus animal bone powder on your body? When I thought of white phosphorus animal bone powder, there was no rejuvenation pill on my body. Only Wei Suo, who had regained his qi, irrigated one bottle after another, and asked Nangang Yuqing and Lu Wu. I still have a bag on my body, do you want it for you? Lu Wu replied quickly. Why do you want me to wait until you see the effect is gone, then you can just throw it out? Wei Suo Ki and Lu Wu said a word, only to see the other side. The heartworm elder stared coldly at the text Deoj, a transparent ripple has rushed out of its mouth and rushed to Wendeoj. The Wendeo pavilion suddenly resembled petrification, and it stiffened. And the straw in the mouth of elder heartworm spurted out, and with a bang, it was once again plunged into Wendeoj's brain. The straw of the heart-eater elder is actually much longer than the ordinary heart-eater. From the position of Wei Suo and others, it looks like a tube that is 3 to 4 feet long, which is connected to the heart-eater. Elder Insect and Wendeo Pavilion saw Wei Suo and Nangang Yuking covered in hair. What? But at this moment, Wendeoj's body twisted desperately, and his powerful beak-like weapon turned into a yellow light, stab in the big mouth opened by the elder of the heartworm. I depend. Wei Suo's eyes suddenly glared to the extreme. Unexpectedly, Wendeo Ge's consciousness was so arrogant that he could alleviate the impact of the consciousness of elder heartworm so quickly. It would be perfect if the elder of the heart-eater now struggles with Wendeo Ge. Laugh. Seeing that the yellow light from Wendeoj's desperation was about to penetrate into the mouth of elder heartworm, a grayish-black brilliance suddenly flowed out of the body of the elder heart-eater. Touching this gray-black brilliance, this amazing weapon of Wendeo Pavilion turned out to be an instant annihilation of brilliance. It was like turning into a piece of scrap iron, hitting the mouth of elder heartworm, and then bombing came out. The last dying blow was so easily broken by the elder heart-eater, I saw a grunt, and the elder heart-eater obviously took a big sip. Off. Talent after advanced. The black water hyacinth that was just old and green, is very powerful carrion water, not the gourd itself. Carrion water is made from a large amount of carrion liquid and many kinds of filthy materials, which can not only quickly corrode the aura, but also quickly corrode most of the fine gold and jade. It is something more poisonous than yin phosphorus, the main material for refining yin phosphorus bone sword. And this heart-eater elder is entrenched in this mausoleum. It is estimated that there have been more carrion than the monks who specialize in refining carrion water. Yes, it turned out to be the same thing as rotting corpse water, and the speed of corroding magic weapons is far more than that of the gourd rotting corpse water. It seems that the heart-eater elder was injured by Wei Suo before, only because Wei Suo's sun-burning talisman had some restraint on it, plus it was insufficiently prepared. Can it still be killed with its IQ? Wei Suo looked at the way that Elder Heart Eater killed Zhou Tianjing's twofold Wendao pavilion, and it was all cold and sweaty from head to toe. But at this moment, the Elder Heartworm recognized who Wei Suo was. The straw was pulled out of the body of Wendao Ge, who had sucked a small half, and it seemed that there was a roar in his hair, and he was facing Wei Suo immediately. Rushed over. I rely on, Wei Suo, who has not recovered much of the true Yuan, desperately inspired the Green Emperor's cord, and at the same time, Yin Mei blade stroked a blood in his hand. Then he threw the Yin Yin blade covered with his blood to the side. Swoosh. Almost at the moment Aoki gas wrapped Wei Suo, Nangang Yuking, and Lu Wu, and the moment the Yin Charm blade was thrown out, the straw in the mouth of the Elder of the Heart Eater had been lost out, and it was fierce toward the Yin Charm blade. Pierce the past. Asterisk. Happy New Year, another year, Lao Wu has walked by with you, everyone voted red for the new year, and the whole year is red together. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 72. Chapter 72. Who believes, 3rd, ask for a red ticket. 4 seemingly exhausted cultivators appeared in the martyrdom. 3 men and 1 woman, the woman wearing a purple shape-shift great art clothing, the skin color is somewhat black, but with a nice face and phoenix eyes, the body does not look like a half of the excess meat, the body is exquisite, but there is a soft entering the wind of wind. 3 male cultivator 1 body and Yes Yao Zheng almost high great treasure, wearing a black leather armor, in his 30s, holding a pair of pumpkin great treasure meteor hammer. A green shirt scholar dressed, holding a gray wooden fan, head wearing a Confucian cap, more than 40 years old, and the other is a young cultivator, wearing a cloud of light yellow shape-shift great art clothes, only and Wei Suo age, in addition to the next the little gap, the long is also considered handsome like a jade, and the Wei Suo scare away the white show a comparison. The 4 cultivators suddenly saw someone in the tomb, and suddenly they were all tight, like a giant treasure. Nangang Yuking, Lu Wu. Nalan Bing. After seeing each other at a glance, both sides immediately took over the shape-shift great art that was soon to be motivated. This woman's cultivation base is so high, from the reaction of both sides, Wei Suo knows that the iron policy is here, and he has already taken a look at aura determining technique at the moment. It is okay to see only 3 male cultivators, just Divine Sea Realm 5th layer cultivator, but the first female cultivator with a dark complexion is also a cultivator named Heavenly Circuit Realm 1st layer. At this time, Wei Suo understands that the iron policy group should be led by a Heavenly Circuit Realm cultivator, so if you deal with a normal mind-devouring bug, there should be no great treasure problem. However, I did not expect that the mind-devouring bug here is not only one end, but also a group of people in the Wendao pavilion inside the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. What about the wind? At a glance, there were only 4 people, and Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu had a slight change in their faces. Yellow Yi. The headed Nalan Bing saw that the scene in front of the tomb was also a dramatic change, but before she said anything, the young cultivator wearing a pale yellow moire shape-shift great art clothing behind her, saw the side the naked female cultivator, which was killed by Lu Sanbao, was suddenly screamed by a surging sound. We were attacked by a cultivator from Heavenly Circuit Realm 2nd layer and several cultivators above Divine Sea Realm 5th layer. Mu Wind was killed, we barely escaped, we followed the traces of the bucket shift great art along the way, before we have seen Lu Baiu their corpse naked body. Nalan Bing's face was very simple. After reading this sentence, he took a look at Wei Suo and asked Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu, what happened to you here? Who is he? Wei Suo saw that Nalan Bing was still very quiet at the moment, and her heart moved. This woman does have some great treasure. Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu looked at each other with an ugly look. Although Lu Baiu and Huan Yi had known a lot of fierceness, they heard the exact news. Nangang Yuking and Lu Wu were still very sad. We are here and hit each other's cultivators. After Nangong Yuking took a deep breath, he explained, we have already had the great treasure in the past, but then suffered the ambush of 4 mind-devouring bugs, only we were lucky to escape. His name is Wei Suo. He discovered the other party's conspiracy. He came to Blue Wind Mound to remind me. If it weren't for him, we couldn't live. Discovered the other party's conspiracy, Nalan Bing shines in a pair of phoenix eyes and looks at Wei Suo and asks, how much do you know? I just met the Heavenly Circuit Realm second layer's yellow shirt cultivator and a purple robe old deist and a grey robed cultivator plot in the North Market, saying that mind-devouring bug is more than one, then I will ride you, and after mind-devouring bug has lost both hands, he will start to kill you and mind-devouring bug. Wei Suo looked at Nalan Bing and replied, as for the rest, I just don't know. Who killed her? Who killed her? Just want to say something at Nalan Bing's opening. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 73. Chapter 73 Eggs. First, ask for the red ticket. The new old red, continue to maintain the 3 more character to ask for the red ticket. The red ticket is easy to click twice, hit the card, the horse. Enough is enough. Nalan Bing's face was cold. Lu Anting, now is not the time for you to mess around. Lu Anting laughed, noisy, do you think that I am doing this? Nalan Bing said coldly, now we are in a secret place, he is obviously friends and not enemies, but you have to force him to fight shapeshift great art. Isn't this a mess? Great Lu Anting raised his eyes. I can't say it clearly. Just because this person clearly has a chance to save Huang Yi, but he can't help him. He and Huang Yi met the cultivator. Huang Yi died, but I can't let him go without losing this. Shut up, Nalan Bing said, Lu Anting, don't forget that this time I am the master. I will never allow you to do it with him. The murderous intention in Lu Anting's eyes flashed past. Watching Nalan Bing and Wei Suo and others, Sen Ran said, I can't take the lead in iron policy now. Well, then I will withdraw from iron policy from now on. Anyway, I also joined iron policy for Huang Yi. From today, I have been with iron policy and I am no longer an iron policy person. Lu Anting, you can think clearly. As soon as I heard Lu Anting's words, the faces of Nalan Bing and others all floated with anger. Of course I want to be clear, I can make my own decisions now. Lu Anting sneered a surging sound and turned to look at Wei Suo. Since you can kill Heavenly Circuit Realm Cultivator, you should not dare to join me with the Cultivator Intercourse of Divine Sea Realm 5th layer. Wei Suo also really can't help, just want to teach this guy a bit, but he didn't have time to say anything. Nalan Bing has face if frost cold way, Lu Anting, we iron policy to come and go freely, will not restrict you to leave iron policy, but you are not our iron policy, and he is our friend. If you want to deal with him, it is the first pass me this pass. This beautiful woman is not bad. Wei Suo saw that Nalan Bing was protecting her, and the beauty of this dark complexion suddenly felt good. Lu Anting sneered a surging sound, not looking at Nalan Bing, but staring at Wei Suo. Why, you are a man, but you dare to hide behind a woman's ass, can't you fight? Nalan Bing's face changed. She also saw that Wei Suo's cultivation base was much worse than Lu Anting. In her opinion, Wei Suo can kill 1 or 2 Heavenly Circuit Realm cultivators, and it should rely on what shapeshift great art great treasure sneak attack or chance, not necessarily Lu Anting's opponent. Now Lu Anting said this, she was afraid Wei Suo was provoked by words and will soon be working with Lu Anting. Well, isn't it a fight? But what surprised her was that Wei Suo didn't seem to be angry, just smiled and said, Lu Anting, but you have to wait a moment, let me pick what shapeshift great art I want to use. That being said, Nalan Bing and the other 2 iron policy cultivators saw Wei Suo come up with a black treasure receiving pocket and kept smashing things out. Lu Sanbao's great treasure knife, the chunky priest's mixed gold spear, and the grey-robed cultivator were killed together with a silver lion head shapeshift great art, cyan wooden fish, topaz-like axe. Wait a minute, and pile up a bunch in front of you. Nalan Bing and the other two iron policy cultivators saw their eyes unconsciously getting more and more great treasure. Because it is obvious that these things that Wei Suo took out are at least half of the shapeshift great art above spiritual artifact. Like this level of things, even the heavenly circuit realm cultivator has only one piece, but Wei Suo's there are so many people. The yellow-robed cultivator of the heavenly circuit realm second layer is also dead in his hands. What makes Nalan Bing and the two iron policy cultivators even more visible is that Wei Suo took it out of the treasure receiving pocket, in addition to something that looks like a shapeshift great art great treasure. Shapeshift great art clothing, with the old Daoist's dragon tiger violet robe, the chunky priest's black and white gossip, even the Wendeo pavilion and Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 74. Chapter 74. What is a friend? Second, ask for a red ticket. This thing should be alive, can you hatch? Wei Suo looked at the beautiful mind-devouring bug egg in his hand and couldn't help but ask. If this mind-devouring bug egg does not hatch, then there is no secret place for Wei Suo. Nalan Bing looked at the eager Wei Suo and nodded. We didn't do any secret place after we took it out. It should be incubable. Why, is Brother Wei interested in this mind-devouring bug egg? Wei Suo does not deny, yes, I am still very interested in this mind-devouring bug egg. In this case, I have a request that is not lust. I don't know if Brother Wei can promise. Nalan Bing hesitated a little and said. Wei Suo said, what is not lust? There are a lot of cultivators that have been killed in this tomb, and these people should be some rogue cultivators. We can't recognize their identity, but they are not ordinary low-grade cultivators. Is a cultivator with a good cultivation base and means. Nalan Bing looked at Wei Suo and said, if they are all called by Hu, then the person behind them must have great treasure. If not Brother Wei, we must all dead in this secret place. These people of course should be all Brother Wei all, but I want to please Brother Wei to take inventory of their things, help us to pay attention to, or will be what tells us that maybe we can get something from them and find clues to the ones behind them. To avenge our dead friends today. As long as Brother Wei is willing to help, the mind-devouring bug eggs in our hands can be given to Brother Wei. How nice this is. Wei Suo suddenly swallowed. The people who told iron policy at the time had something to do with these people. It was a little effort. Nalan Bing apologized, Brother Wei has helped us with such a great treasure, and there is a life-saving grace for us. Since Brother Wei is interested in this mind-devouring bug egg, it should have been given to Brother Wei. Conditional. But at this time, it is a great treasure for our iron policy, so please forgive Brother Wei. No, listen to Nalan Bing such a say. Wei Suo is really a bit embarrassed. After all, others have been plotting for so long, ran a trip, the result of death so many people, good things also to their own, so Wei Suo shook his head. Wei, tell you what is just a little bit of a lift, so, you are in order to mind-devouring bug, in addition to this matter, I will give you 2 mind-devouring bug, as those eggs intercourse change, you see how. Mind-devouring bug, Nalan Bing smiled a bit. Our people in our iron policy were in desperate need of a few things on this mind-devouring bug to refine the shapeshift great art great treasure. This mind-devouring bug is also extremely important to us. Since Brother Wei says so, we don't quit, but we only need a mind-devouring bug. Just 2, anyway. I have 4 mind-devouring bugs. Wei Suo said that while he was sighing in his heart. It was said that Nalan Bing was not familiar with himself. He just kept protecting himself. As a result, the more polite she is, the more she is embarrassed. It seems that she is not suitable. The promising career of profiteers. Nalan Bing said, on one end, let's leave this tomb and say, if Brother Wei is polite, we are even embarrassed to take a mind-devouring bug. Alright. Seeing that Nalan Bing was so decided, Wei Suo didn't say much. He took a mind-devouring bug from the treasure-receiving pocket and gave it to Nalan Bing. When he took out the mind-devouring bug, Wei Suo looked at it carefully. After all, mind-devouring bug, which has 2 bracelets from Wendiage, is still reluctant to give to Nalan Bing. You still have 2 ends, you are a stingy. Wei Suo's this little action fell in the eyes of Nangong Yuking, and Nangong Yuking suddenly gave a look at Wei Suo and said this in the light of Sir Susu's ear. Wei Suo he smiled, only after not hearing, after taking the remaining 4 mind-devouring bug eggs handed over by the green-shirt scribe, took out the map and carefully looked at how to get out. And NBS. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 75. Chapter 75 Small Rogue Cultivator, Great Treasure Roast Duck, Third More. After the new year, let the third come earlier, and let the red ticket be firmer. Little sister, brother Wei, what exactly did he give us? The secret place closest to Blue Wind Mound was placed in the hillside of the Shapeshift Great Art Array, and Yes Yaozheng turned to Yegyuwei. Because Yes Yaozheng and Yegyuwei also passed through the secret place, they were transferred through this place's Shapeshift Great Art Array, so after this incident, they also split directly with Wei Suo. After the usual hugs of the breakup, Wei Suo put 2 pieces of jade talisman and a black skin bag to Yegyuwei, so that if they had something to ask for help in Spirit Peak City, they would just use this newsletter jade talisman. Just looking for him. Wei Suo also said that this communication jade talisman is too lame, and there is a chance to change the level of at least 1,000 miles of sound transmission stone in the future. Also this time they used a magical fog beads and an invisible charm. The things in this black leather bag were given to them, so they must accept them. At first, Yes Yaozheng didn't accept life and death. Later, Wei Suo grabbed Yegyuwei's hand and looked at her white hands. If she didn't accept it, she wouldn't be a friend, and then sent Shapeshift Great Art. People have things. Look at the poor and sour, and learn to pick up a girl, and certainly not the good thing to send out. Yes Yaozheng and Yegyuwei are the ones who watched the disappearance of Wei Suo's Shapeshift Great Art. Some of them are sad, but a Heaven's First Sect cultivator who is responsible for guarding this secret place is looking at Wei Suo in yet. The black skin in the head of Gyuwei. In his opinion, wearing a shamey rags clothes Wei Suo look is a pauper low-grade rogue cultivator. Incredibly also shameless dignitaries to Spirit Peak City must find him, so, even if want to bubble this quiet beauty, toad want to eat day goose meat, at least also take a little sincerity to come. See now that beautiful woman hand inside a black skin, look flat, inside even pretend spiritual stones also cannot install how many stars. While in the heart of this Heaven's First Sect's disciple, Wei Guo was so stunned that Yegyuwei was also curious to untie the black skin, pour out the contents and see what Wei Suo gave to himself and Yes Yaozheng. What is it? No way. Yegyuwei poured out the things inside, and the 2 eyes of Heaven's First Sect disciple suddenly squirmed like the ones that were stepped on. Spiritual stones, as expected by Heaven's First Sect's disciple, has only a handful of spiritual stones in the sly spiritual stones bag, only 20 pieces. But these 20 spiritual stones are all crystal clear, milky high-grade spiritual stones. A high-grade spiritual stones is worth 100 pieces of spiritual stones and 20 high-grade spiritual stones. It is a full 2,000 spiritual stones. 2,000 pieces of spiritual stones. The Heaven's First Sect's disciple didn't know how many days to watch the Shapeshift Great Art Array. Yes Yaozheng and Yegyuwei were shocked at once, and the value of the leather bag that Wei Suo had given them was too high for them. In addition to the 20 pieces of spiritual stones, there are 230 fireball talismans, and a gold foil book, a topaz-like axe. The true Yuan Gong Shapeshift Great Art, which is recorded on the gold foil book, is called Jinshui Ludan, and is a mystic rank advanced work Shapeshift Great Art. The upper part is engraved with the animal language. The small axe with 2 ancient texts on the handle is a semi-spirit rank Shapeshift Great Art that can be reused. These 2 things, Even if Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue are not used, take the auction, the value is far more than 2,000 downs of spiritual stones. That guy is who? Is this too abnormal? When Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue were shocked to put these things together, they didn't bother to see heaven's first sect disciple with the yellow axe, and the eyes were suddenly sluggish. When the heaven's first sect disciple felt Wei Suo abnormal, Wei Suo had already returned to Spirit Peak City. Wei Suo didn't want to involve iron policy at all, for him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 76. For the new year, let the third come earlier, and make the red ticket stronger. Asterisk. Little girl, Brother Wei, what did he give us? Yes Yaozheng turned his head and said to Yegyue, who was near the Qingfeng mausoleum, where there were several teleportation circles. Because Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue themselves also happened to pass through this place, they were going to be transferred through the teleportation circle of this place, so after this incident, they also broke up with Wei Suo directly here. After the usual hug before breaking up, Wei Suo just stuffed 2 pieces of summoning jade symbol and a black skin sack to Yegyue, so that if the two would go to Lingyu City and ask him for help, just use this summoning jade Fu finds him. Wei Suo also said that the communication of Yufu was too lame. In the future, if he had the opportunity, he must change to a level of at least 1,000 miles of soundstone. Also this time they used a spirit mist bead and an invisibility amulet. The thing in this black leather sack was given to them by him, so they must accept it. At first, Yes Yaozheng did not accept life and death. Later, Wei Suo directly grabbed Yegyue's hand and looked at her Bai Shenshen's hand, saying that if he didn't accept it, he wouldn't treat him as a friend, and then sent him away. Something happened. Look at that poor and sour character, and learn to pick up girls, and the things you send out will certainly not be anything good. Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue were watching the teleportation circle that Wei Suo disappeared, and were a little bit reluctant, but a Tianyi monk responsible for guarding this place looked very contemptuously at Wei Suo Sai in Yegyue. The black sack at hand. In his view, Wei Suo wearing a grey rag is a poor light-hearted low-level casual repairer. The shameless dignitaries must find him in the city of Lingyu in the future, even if they want to. If you want to eat this quiet and beautiful woman, Toad wants to eat swan meat, at least you have to show some sincerity. Look at the black skin sack in the hand of the beautiful woman. It looks deflated. Even if it contains spirit stones, it can't hold many. While this Tianyimen disciple despised Wei Suo in his heart, Yegyue also curiously untied the black skin pouch and poured out the contents to see if Wei Suo gave it to himself. And Yes Yaozheng, what is it? No way. Yegyue poured out the contents, but the 2 eyes of the Tianyi disciple suddenly swelled like the toad who was stepped on. Spirit stones, as expected by this disciple of Tianyimen, the number of spirit stones in the deflated spirit stone bag is not much, only 20. But these 20 spirit stones are all crystal clear, milky white top-grade spirit stones. A high-grade spirit stone is worth 100 low-grade spirit stones, and 20 high-grade spirit stones are just 2,000 low-grade spirit stones. With 2,000 inferior spirit stones, this Tianyimen disciple does not know how many days he needs to defend the magic circle before earning. Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue were also stunned at once, and the value of the animal skin bag that Wei Suoqiang stuffed them was too high for them. In addition to 20 inferior spirit stones, there are 20 or 30 fireball symbols, as well as a gold leaf Taoist book, a small topaz-like axe that is 1 foot long. The true Yuan Gong recorded in the gold leaf Taoist book is called Jinliu Lu Danju, which is a profound Xian-level advanced method. The beast script is carved on it, and there are 2 small axes of the ancient scriptures on the handle. It is a semi-spiritual magic implement that can be reused. These 2 things, even if Yes Yaozheng and Yegyue don't use them, are worth more than 2,000 inferior spirit stones when they are taken to auction. Who is that guy? Is this too abnormal? When Ye Xiaozheng and Ye Guowei were shocked to put these things away, they accidentally saw the Tianyi disciple of the yellow light axe, and their eyes suddenly became dull. When this Tianyi disciple felt that Wei Suo was abnormal, Wei Suo had already returned to Lingyu City. Wei Suo didn't want to be involved in Tai Ci's affairs at all. For him, the higher his cultivation level, the better his life would be. The most important thing is to practice more and make up Tian to improve his skills. Improve your strength. And what excites Wei Suo most is that he still has a lot of good things waiting for him to count. Therefore, Wei Suo did not go to Jinyu Pavilion first, but went straight to his place of residence in the north of the city. By the way, he also turned on the biggest notice board in the north of the city and gave the low-level scattered repair to help him hold the sign. 5 inferior spirit stones. It may also be the reason for this extremely poor low-level loose repair. Now, although Wei Suo is still like a tycoon, an inferior spirit stone can't bear to spend money, but he has all this kind of low-level loose repair. Some sympathy, try not to corrupt these 5 spirit stones. As soon as he returned to his place of residence, Wei Suo immediately ran into the quiet room covered with a blanket of silver silk grass, and then took out all the things in the black nabeo. The big knife of this pervert guy is really good. At first, Wei Suo picked up the conspicuous big knife of Lu Sanbao in a pile of things, and looked at it admirably. This big knife is offensive and defensive, defends the spirit order, and attacks half spirit order, at least it can be regarded as a magic weapon. What Wei Suo most appreciates is that this big sword is like some magic weapons. The magic circle should be embedded inside, without any runes on the outside. It looks like a common ordinary sword. In this way, when the big sword is sacrificed, it is easy for the opponent to despise it. At that time, the power will scare the opponent to death. This is for Wei Suo, who is not beautiful at all, only practical, and the more insidious, the better. It couldn't be better. And the magic circle is embedded in it. The amazing defense of this great sword seems to come from the gold material of this great sword itself. Judging from the shadow of the Yinmei blade, which left only a shallow scratch on this large sword will not be damaged even if it resists dozens or even hundreds of blows of a spirit weapon. I rely, this poor ghost, besides this big knife, don't have many other good things. Wei Suo first searched for Lu Sanbao's things, and found a bag of spirit stones from Lu Sanbao's body, which contained almost 1,500 spirit stones worth of inferior spirit stones. There have been so many spirit stones already, but for the first few monks, this spirit stone has made Wei Suo feel that Lu Sanbao is poor. In addition to these spirit stones, Lu Sanbao only had some ordinary magic symbols and Huiki Dan, as well as a small flat clock covered with copper green cyan. After immersing Xuanhuan in this small blue flat clock, Wei Suo was happy again. Because the cyan brilliance radiated from the small cyan flat clock of 1 foot size became a cyan mask in his body. Wei Suo remembered clearly that the cyan mask that Lu Sanbao had stimulated at the time was barely able to resist his shadowy blade, and then Wei Suo re-excited the Luiying flying blade to break the blue. The photo mask turned out to be a perverted monk. After searching Lu Sanbao's things, Wei Suo carefully searched Wendao's things again. Even hitting the 2 red bracelets in the belly of the heartworm, he disregarded nausea and started with the heartworm. Was taken out of his belly. Wendao Ge is the leader of this group, and the cultivation is the highest. The things on his body are also a surprise to Wei Suo. His yellow beak-like implement was made of fine gold, and the aura on it had completely dissipated, with many fine holes, which were completely broken. However, the red bracelet taken from the heart-eater's belly is intact. This pair of red bracelets looks like a material made of red coral. It has fine runes like red roses. It is very exquisite. From the color, it looks like a magic weapon of the fire department, but it feels like it is held in the hand. The thick water vapor should be a magic weapon for the vitality of the water system. Judging from the power of piercing the heartworm's abdomen with a single blow, the pair of red bracelets are at least half powerful. Because there are so many things on hand, when researching this bracelet and unable to determine the specific power of this bracelet, Wei Suo even decided to go to Jinyu Pavilion to redeem his things and buy a piece of Qianlian silver. 1000 refining silver is a kind of fine gold specially designed to test the following magic weapon of the ranks. It is extremely tough, but the texture is very soft. The magic weapon impacts it, it will not damage the carcass of the magic weapon itself, but it can be cut through. The depth of Qianlian shows how much power this magic weapon has. Wei Suo tried this pair of red bracelets on his hands, and he was a little stunned. Not only was the pair of red bracelets excited at an alarming speed, they were almost always focused, and they took off and flew out, and the speed of flying in the air is also very amazing, almost like a teleport, obviously still above the short gold spear of the chunky Taoist. Moreover, these two bracelets are not a complete set, they must be excited at the same time, or they can be activated separately. After trying a few more times, Wei Suo found that the pair of red bracelets could only fly out about 10 feet, and would automatically fly back. The casting radius is only 10 feet, but the excitation speed and flying escape speed are extremely fast. This pair of magic weapons is obviously a pair of magic weapons dedicated to close assassination. No wonder that the Heart Eater has pierced the mind of Wendao Pavilion, but hasn't had time to take a sip before being blown out by Wendao Pavilion. There is no treasure bag in Wendao Pavilion, but his bag of spirit stones is indeed extraordinary. There are more than 50 high-grade spirit stones in it, which is equivalent to more than 5,000 inferior spirit stones. In addition, there is a magic shield made of bones of unknown monsters, and the power should not be worse than the Black Turtle Shield. This can at least make up for the loss of Wei Suo's 2 Black Turtle Shields being broken. What surprises Wei Suo most is that the white jade crane of the flying escape magic weapon of the Wendao Pavilion was burnt by his yin phosphorus sword, and there were many dark spots on it, potholes, and it did not look like a jade crane. It's a roast duck, but the aura above hasn't lost much. After Wei Suo Zhenyuan poured in, this roast duck grew up quickly and became a big roast duck. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 77. Chapter 77 is accounted for separately. Second, red ticket. 3 consecutive characters call for red tickets, with 2 tickets for red tickets. Wei Suo thought for a while and decided to take a trip to the Golden Jade Pavilion to see if the Golden Jade Pavilion had a spiritual consciousness control monster beast for the sale of shapeshift great art. By the way, you can redeem your own things and buy some green beetles. Inner Core, at the same time, will not be able to sell anything directly with the secret place to the Golden Jade Pavilion. It is safest to sell things like murder to the Golden Jade Pavilion. Because the rules of the Golden Jade Pavilion are just intercourse, regardless of the way, and will protect the privacy of the guests 100%. Senior Wei. Wei Suo is now an acquaintance of the Golden Jade Pavilion. Almost as soon as he entered the Golden Jade Pavilion, a Chinese teenager in charge of the reception immediately welcomed him to a VIP inside. Is Senior Wei trying to redeem his own things? In addition to redeeming my own things, there are still things to sell to the Golden Jade Pavilion. Wei Suo nodded and said. Huafu teenagers also seemed to know that Wei Suo has some good things every time, so he did not dare to neglect and asked very politely, is it worthwhile for the seniors to have this time? If that is the case, then I simply ask shopkeeper Tian to come out. Wei Suo smiled. It should be almost enough to ask him to come out. Well, I am going to let people bring the things of their predecessors. By the way, please visit shopkeeper Tian, and wait for the seniors. After the Huafu teenager said this to Wei Suo, he immediately turned around and went out. Brother Wei, you come back so soon to redeem your own things, it seems that the trip is very smooth. Just a short while, shopkeeper Tian walked in, followed by a Chinese teenager. holding a rosewood tray with Wei Suo's treasure essence jade case and jade cloud grass. Take the care of shopkeeper Tian. Wei Suo haha smiled. The luck of this trip is still pretty good. I haven't lost my life. Shopkeeper Tian also smiled. It's a bit of a pity to talk about my uncle, because you are also very valued by treasure essence jade case, but brother Wei has always been very good at it. I don't know if this brings us again. What good thing? I will redeem these things first and say that I have brought a little more things this time. Wei Suo handed a spiritual stones bag to shopkeeper Tian. Here is 550 middle grade spiritual stones, shopkeeper Tian. You can check it out. Alright, shopkeeper Tian heard Wei Suo say that there is a lot of things, and there is a flash of light in the eyes, but there is no nonsense. Directly let the young clothesman behind him give the contents of the tray to Wei Suo, and then let the Chinese teenager check the way. Spiritual stones in Suo's spiritual stones bag. This thing is not very valuable, but I am too lazy to go to other places to sell to others. Shopkeeper Tian also helped to collect it after Wei Suo took the treasure essence jade case and other things. He first took out the cyan bamboo winged snake that was tamed by the one-eyed cultivator. Oh! Shopkeeper Tian glanced at it and said, this level 4 lower cyan bamboo winged snake may not be useful, but monster core is intact, 220 products spiritual stones. How do you see it? Good, Wei Suo nodded and took out the dragon tiger violet robe of old Daoist and handed it to shopkeeper Tian. Purple robe old Daoist. This piece of wear defense powerful energy is also good, enough to withstand the general spiritual artifact shapeshift great art device attack, but green robed old man say and his body's restructuring shapeshift great art clothing without shapeshift great art at the same time, and Wei Suo feel that if their own shapeshift great art clothes are all worn, it is estimated that their lives are finished, and this piece the thing is from purple robe old Daoist body is stripped down, stay in body perhaps still a scourge, so still sell forget. Dragon tiger violet robe, half spirit rank defense shapeshift great art clothing. Shopkeeper Tian is also aware of the goods, looked at it at a glance, and suddenly looked at Wei Suo with a dignified look. Does this thing brother Wei want us to auction on behalf of? The reserve price is 1,000. The product is spiritual stones. It's good to auction Wei Suo anyway, there is no shortage of spiritual stones on hand, and there may be good things to buy at the auction, why not? These two things shopkeeper Tian I Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 78. 3 consecutive changes of character call red tickets, there are 2 red ticket support. Asterisk. After thinking for a while, Wei Suo decided to go to Jinyu Pavilion first to see if Jinyu Pavilion had any psychic skills to control monsters and sell them. By the way, he can redeem his own things and buy some green beetle netten. Sell some of your own useless things directly to Jinyuj. It is most insurable to sell murderous goods to a place like Jinyuj. Because the rules of the Golden Jade Pavilion is to only deal with transactions, regardless of the way they come, and will protect the privacy of guests 100%. Senior Wei. Wei Suo is now an acquaintance of Jinyu Pavilion. Almost as soon as he entered the Jinyu Pavilion, a young boy in charge of the Chinese clothing received him very respectfully and greeted him in a VIP room. Senior Wei wants to redeem your things. In addition to redeeming your own things, there are some things to be sold to Jinyuj. Wei Suo nodded. The Chinese teenager seems to know that Wei Suo has some good things every time he comes, so he did not dare to neglect and asked politely, is it possible that the senior's things are valuable this time? If so, then I simply ask the shopkeeper Tian to come out. Wei Suo smiled, it should be almost enough to invite him out. Okay, I'll let someone bring the senior's stuff right away. By the way, please invite the shopkeeper Tian. The senior wait a moment after the Huafu teenager said to Wei Suo, he immediately turned around and turned out. Brother Wei, you came back to redeem your things so quickly, it seems that this trip is very smooth. Just a moment, Tian shopkeeper came in, followed by a young man in a Chinese suit, Holding a rosewood inside the tray are Wei Suo's Beiyuan jade box and Yu Yunzi. Blessing of the Tian Tian shopkeeper. Wei Suo ha smiled, the luck of this trip is not bad, did not lose his life. The shopkeeper Tian also smiled, it sounds a bit regretful for my uncle, because he is also very important to you, the Beiyuan jade box, but brother Wei has always been extraordinary, I don't know if it brought us this time. What good stuff. I will redeem these things first, and then say that I brought a little more this time. Wei Suo handed a spirit stone bag to the shopkeeper Tian, here are 550 middle grade spirit stones, you can count. The shopkeeper Tian. Good, Tian shopkeeper heard Wei Suo said something was a bit too much, and there was a flash of light in his eyes, but there was no nonsense. The young man in the Chinese suit directly gave Wei Suo all the things in the tray, and then let the Chinese suit. The boy counted the spirit stones in the Wei Suo Ling stone bag. This thing is not very valuable, but I am too lazy to go to another place to sell it to others. The shopkeeper Tian also helped to collect it. Wei Suo took out the one-eyed monk after collecting the Beiyuan jade box and other things. The domesticated piece was cut into several pieces of green bamboo wing snake by him. Oh, Tian shopkeeper glanced, said, the other parts of the fourth level lower level green bamboo wing snake may be useless, but the demon pill is intact. What do you think of the 22 grade spirit stone? Okay, Wei Suo nodded, and took out the old robe of Zapeo and the robe of Ziwei, and handed it to the shopkeeper Tian. This robe from Zapeo Laodeo is also good in defense power, enough to resist the attack of ordinary half-spiritual weapons, but the old man in green robe said that he can't use it with his remodeled veil at the same time, and Wei Suo thinks that if he has the veil after being pierced, it is estimated that his life was over, and this thing was picked from the old robe of Zapeo. It may still be a scourge to stay on the body, so it is still sold. Dragon, tiger, and Lagerstromia robe, half-soul level defensive vest, the shopkeeper Tian was also aware of the goods. He immediately looked at Wei Suo with a solemn look and asked, does this thing brother Wei want us to auction for us? The reserve price is 1,000. Lower grade spirit stone. Just auction. Wei Suo is not short of spirit stones anyway, and there may be good things to buy at the auction, why not? Is it possible for these two things to be sold at the auction? Wei Suo took out the black and white gossip clothes of the chunky Taoist priest and the blue wooden fish obtained from a Shenhaijing monk. The black and white gossip clothing Wei Suo has also studied. It can be turned into a black and white gossip Dharma shield. The defense power is slightly less than that of the dragon and tiger crepe myrtle robe, but it can also be used repeatedly. Wei Suo now has more magic weapons at his half-spirit weapon level. This blue wooden fish has no special features compared to several other items, and its material is a little poorer, which is easy to break. In addition, it is also obtained by killing more goods than others. Decided to sell it and replace it with Lingxi. This gossip dress is slightly worse, but there is no problem at the auction. The base price is 700 lower grade spirit stones. This greenwood fish is a semi-soul level attack magic weapon, and the base price is also 1,000 lower grade spirit stones. In Weizhuo, he took out two good things, his expression more solemn. How much spirit stone can you see in this monster? Wei Suo stretched out his hand and threw out the heart-biting insect that had been pierced by two red bracelets in Wendiage. 5-level monster beast eats heartworm. As soon as we saw the heart-eater thrown by Wei Suo, the shopkeeper Tian and the Chinese teenager standing behind him were completely moved. Almost intact. The heart-eater is a treasure. It is extremely difficult to hunt. You can even refine some hidden magic weapons and vests. The shopkeeper Tian looked at the heart-eater brought out by Weizhuo and said movably, this the head price of the head-eater is at least 2,000 inferior spirit stones. If there are many people from the refining sect gates, the transaction price will be very amazing. Brother Wei, there will be a small auction 3 days later. But, this bite bug, I am afraid that it will be put into a large auction jointly organized by our Golden Jade Pavilion and several Dafang cities in a dozen days, and the price will be higher. Yes, Tianzou's moving appearance made Wei Suo feel very happy. After all, Jinyuj was a place he had never been in before. After nodding, Wei Suo pretended to stretch out two. A finger, two ends. Two ends, Tian shopkeeper froze. Wei Suo threw out an ordinary heart eater with a blank expression. As for the advanced heart eater elder, Wei Suo thinks it might be useful. He hasn't studied it carefully. He thinks that after the old man in the green robe has relieved his energy, he can talk about it after he comes out of the ghost tank. Two heart-biting bugs. You actually killed two heart-biting bugs, Tian shopkeeper's eyes widened. So what you said to do very dangerous things is to kill the heart-biting bugs. No wonder you asked me no white phosphorus animal bone powder. Almost Wei Suo smiled irresistibly. Wow, ha 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 ha, Tian shopkeeper suddenly burst out laughing. Wei Suo was a little dumbfounded now. Tian shopkeeper. I'm sorry, I'm sick. Tian shopkeeper coughed a little embarrassed and explained, although it is only auctioned for the Wei brothers, but you, Wei brother, you have earned enough face for our Jinyu pavilion. Hunting, but it has not appeared in the market for more than 10 years, and my golden jade pavilion itself is famous for its rich characteristics of refining materials. This time, we took out two heartworms, and our golden jade pavilion's reputation is definitely it will go up a little bit. It's just that two ordinary heart eaters take out. If I take out the heart eater elders, wouldn't you want your mouth to be crooked? Wei Suo thought so proudly, and he thought that the silver cord silver obtained from the horse-face monk should also be a very good thing, because after all, the old man in green robe was a little surprised, saying that he would elaborate on him after the effect came back. Brother Wei's shot was indeed extraordinary. Before waiting for Wei Suo to say anything, the shopkeeper looked at him again and said, I have a proposal, I don't know if Brother Wei can accept it. Wei Suodeo, what proposal? The shopkeeper Tian said in earnest, if Brother Wei has such good things in the future, especially if the material of the refining vessel is given priority to our Jinyu pavilion can charge 30% less when you auction it. What do you think? Of course it is possible, after all, the shopkeeper Tian is very authentic in doing things. Wei Suo's eyeball turned. But I still want a request. What request? I know that before every auction, some Fangshi will inform some important guests about some good things in the auction sometime in advance. In this way, these guests will not miss what good things they want to buy, and they will not. What kind of things do you like to run for nothing? Wei Suo looked at the shopkeeper Tian. I don't know if shopkeeper Tian can tell me in advance. It turned out to be this. Tian shopkeeper also smiled. At the speed of the Wei brothers' recent earning of spirit stones, I am afraid that they can be counted in the entire Lingyu city. It is already enough for us to do so in Jinyuj. Wait for Wei brothers, as long as you inform your residents in Lingyu city, 3 days before the auction starts, I will send someone to send you the news about what is in the auction. And you can rest assured that, our Golden Jade Pavilion has always been reliable and will not disclose information about you to anyone. No problem. Wei Suo looked at the black Nabeo in his hand and hesitated. Originally, he also wanted to sell this Nabeo, because his yellow Nabeo was higher than this grade, but thinking of this treasure is also a rare thing, so after hesitating, he decided to sell these things first. Today I will sell these things for a while. Wei Suo put away the black Nabeo, and said, I have something to ask the shopkeeper Tian for help. I want to buy one. The spirit of slaves can be learned by spirit. I don't know if Jinyuj has such a technique. The shopkeeper Tian said, we do not have this kind of technique in the Jinyu pavilion, but there are many techniques sold in the Jade pavilion. Yeah, there may be. Brother Wei, do you want to ask yourself, or do we ask you on your behalf? Why do you ask? Wei Suo was sweating and shook his head as soon as he mentioned the silver shirt buttocks beauty in the Jumbo pavilion, and quickly shook his head, but this matter is a bit urgent, and please ask the shopkeeper to move as fast as possible. Tian shopkeeper groaned a little, since there is something anxious, I might as well publish the news for you, so even if there is no Jade Pavilion, maybe someone will sell it. It's just that the price is estimated to be higher. As long as you can get it, the high point doesn't matter, Wei Suodeo said. I still need a large number of green beetle demon pill. I don't know if the shopkeeper Tian can help. Tian shopkeeper slightly stunned. A large number, roughly how much? Wei Suodeo, probably at least 100 first. 100? It will take at least 2 or 3 days to get together, the shopkeeper Tian nodded. Originally, our Golden Jade Pavilion sold 60 inferior spirit stones and 1 green beetle demon pill. So much, how about 55 low-grade spirit stones? Wei Suo nodded to say there was no problem. The shopkeeper Tian clapped his hands, and soon a young boy in a Chinese suit handed a large plate of spirit stone to Wei Suo in a mahogany tray. A total of 792 middle-class spirit stones. The equivalent of the 550 middle-class spirit stones that Wei Suo had redeemed before was not counted, and 242 middle-class spirit stones were posted. Moreover, this is only the reserve price of the things that Wei Suo threw out. When the auction opens, Wei Suo will definitely have a large amount of spirit stone in the account. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 79. Chapter 79 is indecent. First, ask for a red ticket. How is this surging sound so familiar? Wei Suo turned his head a little confused. As soon as he turned his head, he couldn't help but call the surging sound hum. A look of angry face lust standing on the left side of the back of the secret place, is the rare treasure pavilion Ice White Butt Beauty Jiya's sister, the one that makes him the most troublesome silver shirt. Are you actually secretly listening to my conversation with Nangong Yuking? Wei Suo, who closed her mouth, was incredulously watching the little girl who had just appeared from a bamboo forest next to her. I secretly listen to you. Han Weiwei was suddenly mad at Wei Suo. Do you seduce others next to my residence, and say that I secretly sneak? I also said that I have time to sit up and call people to soak in the hot springs. It is really disgusting. I must spit out what I had eaten the year before. Your residence, Wei Suo's eyes suddenly licked great treasure. The spirit field inside has something I planted, isn't it mine for you? Han Weiwei said with no anger. No way. Wei Suo suddenly burned with tears, and for a long time next to her own earth-level residence. Is this the residence of outstanding but beautiful woman who makes her head great treasure? Is this too clever? Heaven, fortunately, I got a set of heaven-grade residence. After shaking his head silently, Wei Suo turned his head and went straight to the heaven-grade residence along the stone steps. Anyway, his current stuff is in the treasure-receiving pocket, nothing falls in the secret place. Why, I just saw your pouting face and wanted to leave, Han Weiwei a surging sound sneer. I grin. Wei Suo was almost depressed, and looked at Han Weiwei. Why, the beauty of the technology is so bad, do you want to go back to the bubble spa with me? You old hooligan. Han Weiwei's little face was suddenly mad. Who is poor in technology, who wants to go to the hot springs with you? The last time I lost it to you because of your intrigue. This time I must teach you lessons. Well, thanks for nothing. Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei, who was pretty and white. I have hundreds of spiritual stones in a minute, so I have no time to play with you. Why should you go? Don't pester with me like a resentful woman. I am like a resentful woman who has been abandoned. Han Weiwei's eyes were blackened and he looked at Wei Suo with a grin. Today I must be more than once, and you will be able to find your teeth. Wei Suo disdained a surging sound. You thought you were heaven's first sect master. You have the final say. This Spirit Peak City doesn't allow you to fight shapeshift great art. I just don't play with you. You can still force me. Han Weiwei stunned, and suddenly he smiled smugly, like a little fox. Well, If you don't fight with me, then I will be here at Great Treasure and call you indecent. I think if I am here at Great Treasure, I should have a lot of people to help me. According to the rules of Spirit Peak City, you might be expelled from the city. No way. Wei Suo's eyes bulged, so absolutely. Han Wei took a surging sound and bit his teeth. You can do it? Anyway, if you don't agree now, I will be here at the Great Treasure, and my surging sound is very great. Since you say so, then I can only promise you, Wei Suo said with great pain. Haha, that's about the same. Han Wei smiled happily. Indecent ah. Indecent ah. There are female hooligans who are rude to me ah. But let her never react at all. She hasn't had time to surging sound. Wei Suo obediently walks with herself. Wei Suo suddenly flies along the mountain trail like a rabbit. While running, I am still shouting at such a great treasure. When she finally reacted to what was going on, Wei Suo had already run fast and the shadows were gone. And to make her look black, Wei Suo also passed down. This year is really terrible, and there is still a female cultivator to force the male cultivator, forcing me to strip off my clothes and Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 80. Chapter 80 Divine Sea Realm 5th Layer. Second, ask for the red ticket. Among the dark nights, a cultivator carefully plunged into an ordinary cave from a secret place valley 500 miles east of Spirit Peak City. After seeing him enter the cave, he moved a few pieces of great treasure stone to block the hole, as if to spend the night in this wild cave. The cultivator wore a black cloak, and after removing the black cloak, it wore a grey shapeshift great art. This person is awesome in the Blue Wind Mounds land, the Heavenly Circuit Realm first layer cultivator Lu Zhongzhou, who was scared away by the elders Wei Suo and mind-devouring bug. After taking off the black cloak, Lu Zhongzhou sat down on his knees, his eyes flashing slightly, and he didn't know what he was thinking. But less than the half-stick of incense time, he suddenly changed his face to great treasure, and suddenly jumped up, as if he wanted to quickly rush out of the cave where he was hiding. But almost instantly, his naked body froze, looking at the hole that was blocked by his own stone, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. A few surging sounds, a few pieces of great treasure stone blocking the hole suddenly burst into shock, scattered in the back, and there was a cyan shapeshift great wearing a golden sword with a handle. Art robes of the cultivator. The face of the cultivator wore a silver mask, only two eyes were exposed, and Lu Zhongzhou was watched with a look without any sense of lust. And this person's power at this time of the Revelals, it is even more powerful than the Wendao Pavilion. Liu Zhongzhou of Heavenly Circuit Realm first layer cultivation base is in front of this person, and he is not even tempted to move. I don't like intercourse nonsense. From now on, honestly answer any of my questions. If you dare to make any changes, I will kill you right away. After watching Lu Zhongzhou for a while without any sense of lust, the cultivator wearing a silver mask suddenly said the sentence. Liu Zhongzhou looked white and smiled a little. The cultivator with a silver mask on the face is still plain. Do you know the bad guys who are bad treasure? Let us hurt the few good guys. Liu Zhongzhou shook his head. I don't know. I only know that the iron policy person calls him Wei Suo. The shapeshift great art on this person is very weird, and there seems to be a real spirit rank attack on shapeshift great art great treasure. From today, give you a month. The cultivator with a silver mask looked at Lu Zhongzhou. 1 month, let us find out the bottom of the person and the naked body. If it is checked within a month, we will spare you a life. If it is not clear for a month, you should also know the means of our black fiend. /P. When he heard the face wearing a silver face cultivator, Lu Zhongzhou suddenly nodded as if he was relieved by great treasure. But just after looking at him again, the cultivator with a silver mask on his face turned around and swept away, and instantly disappeared into the darkness. At the moment, Wei Suo, who knows nothing about Spirit Peak City, is sitting still in the quiet room. The surface of his skin reveals a pale golden brilliance. A whole night passed. After the sunrise, Wei Suo's skin pale golden brilliance slowly receded, but opened his eyes after the Wei Suo is not many pauses, and took out a light golden dan pill swallowed down, and then immediately began to cultivation up. Soon there was a faint gold sheen on his skin. Time is completely solidified in this quiet room without any surging sound. 3 days, like running water, there is no surging sound. 3 days later, Wei Suo opened her eyes with some surprises, and then quickly took out a milky high-grade spiritual stones, and couldn't wait for the culture. Golden Spirit Pellet. During the 3 days, green-robed old man, who helped him with a mind-devouring bug elder divine consciousness, restored origin chi in ghost-raising jar, and he was the golden spirit from the old deist and others. Pellet came to retreat to culture. Monster core with rank 3 monster beast and its